Hello, powerful, sovereign beings of light. What's going on? What have you been manifesting? Today, we have a powerful message to share about setting your intentions for the future. My name is Galia.
And I'm Jess.
Welcome to the new paradigm. And this new paradigm, it's what we are building together. And we assist this global shift, this ascension shift by doing the inner work, by transforming from the inside out. And I would love to talk about the energies of this full moon. What is out there for you in the sky? And I would love for you to share some words about it.
Yes, the energies that we are experiencing right now are really powerful, and we are really being called now to step into a greater version of ourselves. And we see this playing out with so many distractions going on. We have wars, inflation, so many things that are happening. But at the same time, it seems as things have calmed down, right? Like right now, we know what virus is not like as threatening, and we haven't heard as much. And in a lot of places, it's kind of like non-existent. I mean, I'm glad we haven't really had to feel it because of us leaving our countries beforehand. So we kind of weren't feeling like we were living in the COVID times. We're experiencing some really powerful energies right now. And as we can all like feel it in ourselves, even the way that the sun is shining and the way that we feel the sun, I feel like it's stronger than ever. And even when we look around, I feel like things are changing, like reality is really shifting because we are reaching a very high point. There's a lot of high frequencies right now that are creating this like purge, right? Purification. And actually the full moon that we have in the tropical chart, it's in Virgo. And Virgo is all about purification. And this is a beautiful time because this is when we can awaken to our divinity and really realize ourselves, realize like why we are here. Yeah, so we are in these energies of purification and rising up to the occasion. And it's a beautiful time because I feel like every single one of us that is experiencing this awakening, we're all feeling it to our own personal experience, but we're all in it because we're all parts and parcels of this one. So we're going to experience everything together. It just depends on what level of awareness that we are in. So the more we are aware, the deeper we experience it. But it's happening and it cannot be stopped because actually these energies right now, they are needed for this ascension, for this clearing out of all of the densities, all of the distortions that, all of these dark energies that have been just like sucking our life force and keeping us in trauma-based mind controlled blind.
Yes.
So right now, we're really having this inner call to really like step it up and remember our purpose, remember our why.
Yes.
This noble cause. You have anything that you want to say about this? Because I know you're feeling it.
Well, it's hard to say anything after this because it was powerful. And I'm telling you, it's really what's happening is terribly a war on consciousness. And you need to be able to master yourself so deeply that you're not affected by these changes. So it's really important to work on ourselves and also understand what is happening, that we have been tested. And it's now our place to master these quantum jumps, to be able to see when we are acting from this lower selves, when we are acting from this false ego, and instead of acting from this place, or reacting, should I say, now we need to come from this place of spirit, this place of wholeness, that we're understanding. And we step fully into our power through our own intention. Our own intention, our own knowing. We know who we are. We choose what we wish to experience, and nobody is choosing for us. And this is what we call, my friends, a sovereign being. Mm-hmm. Someone who can see through darkness. And even when we are faced with interferences, we can recognize the interferences. Mm. We can see that actually this is not our own will. And that this is other beings, other dark forces trying to prevent us from ascending. And this, it's something that exists, yes, but we need to realize that we always have a choice. And this choice is to control our mind, to be able to be this master of the mind, and not letting the mind being controlled by other interferences. And I feel like now it's all about knowing truly why we are here. I feel what's coming up now is this sense of purpose. Mm-hmm. Realizing even deeper this deep call within.
Yes, I love how you said that. And I feel like we're all, again, the people that are feeling this on a really deep level, because we are the shift and we are repairing our ancient lineages and shifting the collective consciousness. And we are in the highest timelines right now. Right now is such an important time in our lives to really focus inward and realize that every single thing that is happening externally is a creation of our own false identity, our false self, our false ego. These programs that have been given to us since the time that we were in our mother's womb forming. We were being programmed. We were already in the program. It had begun. And now we can realize this because we are awakening. Many of us have been on this path of awakening and remembering more and more of ourselves, who we are. And we know no one is going to save us. No one is coming. We are the saviors. We can only save ourselves. And this is why it's such a time to really focus on our personal transformation, because we cannot change anything if we remain with the same consciousness. The only way to create change is through a consciousness shift. And as we're shifting consciousness and remembering who we are and acting from this place of knowing, the wars that we see right now, the corruption, all the violations that happen from the moment of conception, it will be decreasing. But we come to this world to be able to feel into the duality, to feel the polarity, and to find love in the darkness. And this is why it's such a powerful time, because we are experiencing the light in such a profound way, where we have been here for eons. We've been evolving. We've experienced many timelines. And now we're able to see it all playing out. If we choose to awaken to this state of remembrance and knowing and being, we can access these timelines and see it, how it's all playing out. And right now, because of the times that we're in, this is why, once again, we're seeing all the revelations playing out. Everything as written is happening. But as we awaken and we realize and we remember our sovereignty, this is what changes everything, because this is literally World War III. It's the war on consciousness, and it's been. But it's for us to rise up in this remembrance and choose the path that is less traveled, because it's not easy to choose the path of truth, because we live in a world of lies. But this is a time. It's a time where we can see everything that once haunted us and see it now as a gift, and no longer holding resentment or judging it, but seeing it with beauty, because we've come to a realization that the darkest moments in our lives were so full of life. It's just that we had forgotten. And that actually created this beautiful experience, this human experience without pain and suffering. Life itself would have just wouldn't be life, because we're here to embrace and learn and evolve. And that's why right now, as a collective, we are seeing all this suffering in the world. So it's a beautiful opportunity to transform, to choose, to see beyond it and embrace it all. Not bypassing anything, but learning to be in the now. To not want to be somewhere else, because we tend to want to feel like, oh, I'm done with Earth. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to suffer. Or, this is hard. But when we can accept it and just enjoy it and say, wow, this is just part of the human experience, that's transcendence. Where we're no longer judging an experience for good or bad. We see it as the lessons. That's the winner mentality. And that's what we are now being asked to cultivate daily. And I know you can feel me, because we both are on this path together, and we know how it's been and how it is. But, you know, we've seen each other grow. So I would love to hear you share some of this, share some of this phoenix energy, this rising out of the ashes.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when you were mentioning about now it's no time to judge, and I feel like sometimes and at times we can feel like we are judgmental beings, but ultimately this is not the nature of our being. And our nature is to be able to be neutral and observe things, and truly after this observation, contemplating, and now bringing consciousness, bringing light into it. And this is really powerful when we have a choice to decide for our own life what we want to experience. And I was talking earlier about these interferences, and we have all inherited these imprints within our being. And these imprints, just like you mentioned, these imprints, they come from timelines and timelines. So what we are truly doing is that we are repairing these timelines. And that's why when I say we do awaken to our traumas, what does it mean? It means that at some point in your life, in your adult life, you are going to awaken to your traumas. You are going to remember timelines that you need to repair in order to transcend. That's why so many people, they would rather spend their entire life in denial, that they don't have traumas, that nothing happened to them just because they didn't experience the worst in their life. No, we all went through these moments in our life where we felt so powerless and confused and unable to move forward. And these moments and this deep suffering is coming from ancient times. So we need to realize what timeline are we living? Because sometimes we could be living another timeline and losing touch completely with reality. And this is affecting us on all dimensions of existence. Physically, we become ill because we are so obsessed by this thought. And I want you to reclaim this power that you have to choose your thoughts, because from your thoughts, you create your emotions. So let's be sincere with that and what's happening, because now we're asking you, not us, but the entire collective, to realize this twitch in the matrix. Realize this. Realize truly that Everything that you've been feeding so far, it's been keeping you away from your mission as a being. And we're not talking as us, avatars, Galia and Jazz. We're talking even beyond that. Beyond that, who we are as a collective. And why we have chosen to incarnate on this plane. Because once we can remember this, once we can remember the beauty beyond this chaos and what media and societies are trying to make us believe. But the same thing, I thought as well, I would be sharing this thought about getting out of this system of beliefs. Because these belief systems are keeping us trapped. It's all about coming out of these belief systems. These belief systems that have been distorting the truth. Maybe you want to add up something about it? You have a lot to say.
I mean,
she wanted the mic, like, please.
The thing is, like, I feel like we've described it because it's like indescribable, and yet we can describe it. And for everyone, it's different. Everyone's transformation looks different, but what I do know is that it's really intense times, and it's because these are the times where it's cyclical. Like, we are meant to go through these transformations, and it's never been an easy one. And this is why in this time we need to learn to adapt. We need to learn to discern, not judge, but to truly see. It's time to see beyond the two physical eyes and feel with our hearts and develop this heart and mind coherence, to be able to lead with our hearts and also be able to discern and to be able to take action, our willpower. And once again, just as we mentioned in the beginning, it's all about us remembering our why. What did we commit to a while back? Maybe we forgot because things got intense, especially the past 2 years. After the pandemic, which was meant to trigger us and activate us.
Us, the first ones.
Exactly. We were meant to be activated. And, we ourselves, we had to revisit a lot of ancient trauma. And we've been clearing out these timelines. And this full moon and these times this month, March 18th to be precise, the video that we're recording today. It's powerful. 5 years ago, I remember this day. And actually 5 years ago, I was witnessing the first live birth. My sister was giving birth to my 5-year-old niece who turns 5 today. And I had just lost a family member. So in this moment, it was magical because I was experiencing life and death, and I had never seen a child come out of a mother, and this was like my little sister having her child. So it was really powerful. And 5 years later today, I'm feeling these energies again of rebirth and hope and remembering all of the things from the last 5 years. A lot of us awakened in 2017, and a lot of people began to awaken after 2017. And now we're about to be heading into a 9-year closure, a whole almost 10-year cycle in 2026. We're preparing, and we're hearing about all the changes that will be happening, and they already are taking place. Like, just in the past 2 years, government has changed. The way things used to run, they're changing right now. And we're hearing now about, obviously, cryptocurrency and decentralization, which is a great thing. And we're also hearing how the feds want to shut it down, and they have their own plans. They're creating their own digital currency that is centralized and that is meant to control the people. So there's major splits happening, and the way that we can navigate these times is by committing to our truth, committing to knowing what that feels like within ourselves, so no one can tell us what is right or wrong for us. We know what it feels like, and we're not going to just trust anyone who claims to be a prophet or anyone who claims to be a savior. Because we're going to know, wait, I am the savior. It's within me, and I'm connected to the source at all times. And no one can trick me. No one can make me think that I don't understand what I'm talking about. We're solid in our truth. And these are the times to cultivate this self-mastery, transformation, evolution, and true freedom and sovereignty is the frequency that we are now in. Sharing our gifts, cultivating, and remembering what our passions truly are, and putting it into action. Because this is the time we all were waiting for, and we're being called to act now with this beautiful, powerful full moon frequency.
Yes, and it was beautiful what you were explaining about transformation. And transformation is truly everything about life. Just like we mentioned in our last podcast episode, we said that we need to welcome the changes, and why it's so important to welcome the changes and not being afraid of the changes, but instead cultivating this inner sight, being able to see what's going to happen in the future, and not being afraid or anxious about the future, but instead really looking at this as an opportunity to even grow even bigger and to step even more into our purpose. It's why we are here. We are game changers in this thing, in all this programming that we've been feeding so far, and thinking that we didn't have the power because maybe we didn't have the finances, maybe we didn't have the status, or whatever it is for you, what it looks like. And I want to talk to you, the people who have felt like this, who have felt defiled by this system, this corrupted system. And it's the same thing in every nation. Every nation is suffering from what is happening. And we could be living in the Western world, or we could be here in Mexico, for instance, and observing, and we're observing the same things. People are faced with the same issues. Mm-hmm. And every time we meet someone, we are trying to bring this light into them, not like because we are all knowing, but just because we want to encourage them to do this, to get into this inner transformation. Because as they change inside of themselves, they have this impact all around them. But you have to be willing to do that. In another podcast, we talked about the 3 keys of transformation. We got to be willing. We got to be willing to shift. And we can't change the world if we haven't changed ourselves first. Yeah. No. We can't be living as this wounded inner child. No, we need to create this space for the inner child. We need to create this space because all adults now are just acting from this wounded space. They're not even adults. They're just wounded children. And imagine what it is to actually have a conversation with this wounded child who feels unloved, rejected. We can't be here. We need to progress as a collective, as a whole. And the greatest solution is your inner transformation. If you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and leave us a comment.